welcome to my very first video on YouTube. Okay, so today I am going to be, well, I already did it because this is like my third time trying. I'm harvesting greater Celandine. Don't quote me on the pronunciation, please. So the plant looks like this dried. Right. Let me get closer. Okay, and then I took all of the flowers off. The dried ones, okay? And I've hung up rose hips to dry. Now for rose hips, I got them in Maine when I was there with my family. I don't know much about rose hips, but I do know that they grow by the ocean. But my theory, you can hear my baby in the background. My theory is that they spread like blackberries. You know how like once you plant one, they're everywhere within like the next 10 years? Yeah, anyway. So first I dunked them in lemon water. Well, water boiled with boiled lemons. I don't know. Boiled lemon water. I dipped them in that, put them in the oven on the lowest setting with it just propped open like this, right? And sat them in the oven for about like 3 hours, but that just opened. I had mushed a few first, and then I took the others, and my theory with this, okay, because I have it written down somewhere, but my theory with this is if you smush the smaller berries, right, because you want the berries from the rose hips, if you smush the smaller berries and spread those like a paste over a cookie sheet, a thick one, then you can get like some of that. But if you take the bigger ones, like, because they can get to like that big, right? Like a ping pong ball or bigger, I have no idea. But if you take that, cut those in half, take all the seeds out, and put those on the cookie sheet as well, because I did half and half. If you put those on the cookie sheet, those will dry out beautifully. And then I hung them up in the next room just to make sure that they're all dried out. With the greater Celandine, this took about 7 days to dry out thoroughly, right? So there's that. And then, hello. So what we want to do with these, right, the flowers of the plant, is we're trying to make a tea with this. And now I have this little like book. It's like my Bible. I love it. One thing in the zombie apocalypse that's not like essential, this would be it, because all of the herbs and like stuff it tries to teach you in this book, they're like, it's life or death basically. I'm being a bit dramatic, but easy. She keeps trying to stand by herself. She's 9 months old, and she has a hold of her father's belt. One of them, anyway. Okay, so with this plant, you want what's above ground. So, and you can, these are really easy to identify because they have like these, like they look like green beans, but they're not. But that's like the seed pod for this plant. But the flowers are yellow. They grow really tall. I found this in an apple orchard. And like, I took a few because I don't think they're gonna miss it because this stuff's growing everywhere as well. But yeah, I grabbed some root as well because you never know. I could experiment with that, like try and make a tea out of that as well. Okay, so tea. 1 teaspoon of dried herb in water and bring to a boil and steep for 10 minutes. Now this plant, I didn't say much about this plant, but this plant helps with gallbladder issues and is like sort of like a mild laxative. It can also be used as a caustic to tender skin, but used sparingly. Oh, here, okay. External, the juice of the plant is effective in controlling warts and some skin fungi. The fresh juice applied several times a day can inhibit the growth or spread of these conditions. So use it sparingly. Yikes. Some of these things are like, oh, that's actually pretty useful, but then it's like, this plant is also toxic. Too much, you can die. It's like, okay, good to know. Thank you. Anyway, moving on. So that's what we're gonna do. Except I'm gonna use, excuse me, this. It's just a thing, right? Okay. This is the same water I was using to make candles. We are probably not going to use that much. I'm just making it just to play around with it because I've never used this plant before, but this is the only one I have on hand, minus the rose hips. And they're not ready to be used quite yet. But rose hips does help with like colds and sore throats. So that's why I gathered those. This is probably too much water for it. No, I said 1 teaspoon, right? I think so. Yeah, 1 teaspoon. I guess it's about 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. Yeah, it doesn't say like 1-2 cups of water. This is about 2. So we will stop that there. I have a very small workspace to deal with, or to work with, and now my baby's pinning me to the stove. All right, and I will come back when this is all done.